Live, local, late breaking. This is KOLD News 13 Live.
A rough rescue, a video that's quickly gaining national attention. A 74-year-old woman spinning out of control after being airlifted from a Phoenix area mountain when she hurt herself. Many left wondering, how could something like this happen? Well, good evening. Thankfully, that 74-year-old woman eventually made it to land safely. She's doing better.
The shocking part, the fire department says, aside from some dizziness and nausea, she didn't suffer any additional injuries in all of this. KOLD News 13's Megan McNeil went to see what it might feel like to be in her shoes.
We all saw the rescue video from Phoenix, so we want to see what it's like in one of these. We have a Stokes basket and a bombing bag, and Scott here to show us how it all works.
Undo the straps. Yeah, it's not great, but it beats walking out on a broken leg.
This is the same stuff that was used in the Phoenix rescue. Basically, the patient, me in this case, is just put into the Stokes basket and then put in the bag.
Exactly the same kind. And you're strapped to the bottom of the bag. You're not going to go anywhere, especially if the Stokes spins a little bit.
It keeps you nice and tight.
This is going to get pretty hot.
And hot.
How hot is it in there?
Really hot.
Way too hot.
I bet you can see my sweat. But Scott says it's safe, even if you spin like this.
You never really know when it's going to spin. I mean, the spinning is somewhat natural. It happens sometimes. It's not anybody's fault.
These devices do have a tagline.
That keeps the Stokes from spinning. It looked like they might have had a tagline on it, but maybe it broke.
Yep, that's exactly what the Phoenix Fire Department says happened. A tagline broke. Regardless, you're safe in here.
You're not going to come out of this. You're not going to come out of this.
Can I come out of it now, though?
You can come out of it now. Because you're the heat.
My initial reaction and thought to this entire experience is it's actually pretty nerve-wracking. You're all the way covered up. It's really hot in there, especially if you're rescued in the middle of the day in the desert. It is nice to know professionals are out there and they have done a lot of training for this, but if you're up in the air and it's hot and you're spinning, definitely pretty scary. And this can be used on another rescue. In Sabino Canyon, Megan McNeil, KOLD News 13, live, local, late breaking.
Thank you, Megan. And rescue officials say using the helicopter was the best way to rescue the patient because of her age, the terrain, other conditions, the heat. As for the woman's condition, the Phoenix Fire Department tells the Arizona Republic she did suffer injuries, including a face laceration and hip injuries from the hiking injury. Before being rescued, we're working this evening to find out how she's doing tonight.
Jane, to see you in the Live Center following some late breaking news. We're just learning a migrant has been found dead in the Yuma area after getting lost in the desert. Customs and Border Protection tell us she got sick and she was left behind by the group she was traveling with. Right now, all we know is that the woman is in her 40s and from Guatemala. A helicopter crew spotted her body and several other undocumented immigrants walking nearby. The cause of her death is currently under investigation. Brooke.
Thank you, Janice. A meeting today between U.S. and Mexican officials amid President Trump's tariff threat that has some lawmakers pressing the panic button. Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with Mexican officials at the White House. This comes after President Trump's threat to impose a 5% tariff on Mexico starting Monday, unless the illegal migration crisis is alleviated. Well, this evening, members of the president's own party warning the president to back off his threat.
I think that'd have a very harmful impact. Millions of jobs in Texas depend on international trade, and in particular trade with Mexico. This is the wrong solution to the crisis.
Analysts say tariffs on Mexican products could end up costing American consumers and businesses billions. English language courses could be a thing of the past for immigrant children in the care of the U.S. government. The Health and Human Services Department telling shelters nationwide they won't be reimbursed for things like teacher pay or other costs such as legal services or recreational equipment. The agency says it simply doesn't have the funding as it deals with a soaring number of children coming into the U.S. Nonprofit and private organizations will need to cover these costs if they can, or choose to in the end. Health and Human Services says it currently has more than 13,000 children in its care.
We need to support the people who are out there in the desert giving medical aid.
In downtown Tucson today, a protest on day 5 in the trial of Scott Warren. He is the humanitarian aid volunteer facing several charges from last year when he was arrested for helping 2 illegal immigrants. Protesters today gathering in front of the federal courthouse to support a man they say was simply trying to save lives. Warren is facing 3 felony charges. He's pleaded not guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to transport and harboring the 2 men and 2 counts of harboring undocumented immigrants. He is facing up to 20 years in prison if he is convicted. And that wasn't the only rally in southern Arizona today. It marked a day of action for hundreds of thousands of government workers. They are employees of the Veterans Administration who are members of the American Federation of Government Workers. About 50 union members and their supporters held a march and rally in front of the VA Hospital in Ajo in Tucson. It's one of nearly 60 planned rallies and town halls across the country today. The union has begun contract talks with the government for the first time since 2011. But opponents say it's an attempt to break the union in order to privatize VA services.
In this instance, we stop this scourge of privatization, taking public services and turning them over to the private sector, using taxpayer dollars to create profits for political donors and greedy corporations has always been wrong. It's wrong today.
The union says the new contract offers strips protections for whistleblowers and other workplace rights.
Over in Phoenix, Maricopa County health officials say the city has had its first death related to the heat this year. We're told the person who died was a homeless man who was dehydrated. And at this hour, all we know is that he was found in a car. Officials are using this incident to warn Arizona residents about these potentially deadly temperatures, which will continue to rise very soon. So let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Lisa Villegas joining us now. And the temperatures can be so dangerous, especially when you're talking about an enclosed space like that, like inside a car, Lisa.
Exactly. Even tomorrow, temperatures are going to be pretty hot, not even in the triple digits, but take a look at how quickly they start to climb. Just 10 minutes inside the car, that temperature, which is at the bottom of your screen, so for example, 1 o'clock, 96 degrees, you close that car door. 10 minutes later, that temperature rises to 115 degrees. 3 o'clock, temperature's 98. That rises to 117 degrees. So that's, again, just 10 minutes outside of that. Continue to see those temperatures increasing every minute after that. So we have to be very mindful as this heat continues to climb. In fact, near record-breaking heat in my forecast coming up. I'll break down exactly what you can expect with that and the reason why coming up within the next 15 minutes.
Thank you, Lisa. In Arizona wildfires, progression on the so-called cold water fire slowing down thanks to some thunderstorms in the Coconino National Forest. That's just north of Payson. Right now, that fire burning about 2,300 acres. It's down from 3,000 yesterday after they did another remapping. About 100 firefighters are trying to get a handle on this one. It started Thursday morning. Investigators say lightning is likely to blame. Right now, we don't know of any buildings or homes being threatened. Southern Arizona watching closely as we prepare for a big day in the basketball bribery scandal.
Sentencing tomorrow for U of A's former assistant coach, Book Richardson. So let's get right over to David Kelly on what we can expect for this. Hey, DK.
Hey, well, let's start with what happened today at a sentence to one of the other guilty assistant college basketball coaches. It was handed down. My alma mater, USC, saw former assistant coach Tony Bland sentenced to 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service for his role in the NCAA bribery scandal. Now, the difference between Bland and Arizona's Book Richardson is the amount of bribe money the two were accused of accepting. For Bland, that number, a little over $4,000. For Richardson, it was $20,000. So here is what Book is looking at. His camp has asked for probation. This came after a probation officer recommended that sentence, or recommended, I should say, a sentence to Judge Edgardo Ramos of 3 months. Now, the sentencing guidelines for this guilty violation, though, give Ramos the ability to jail the former Wildcat assistant for up to 2 years. So it will likely be somewhere in that neighborhood of no jail time to 2 years for Book Richardson. We will find out at 8 a.m. Thursday morning.
All right, DK, we will. We'll be checking in with you on that. And back here at home, Arizona Game and Fish looking for those responsible after 2 young owls are found dead. We're told the great horned owls were found last Tuesday in the 1500 block of East Prospect Lane. That's close to Campbell and Mountain. At this hour, investigators are trying to figure out exactly how they died. Anyone with information about the case is urged to contact Arizona Game and Fish. The department's offering a $1,500 reward for information leading to an arrest. Homeowners in the area also have pledged an additional $500 reward. You may remember Game and Fish is offering a similar reward to find a poacher of 2 young javelinas in Sierra Vista. We just told you about this one, too. We have a way to get in touch with the department for both of these cases right now on KOLD.com. A man has been arrested for allegedly kicking a kitten multiple times in a Mesa parking lot. 23-year-old Nicholas Calfee was seen on surveillance video chasing a 6-week-old kitten, cornering it and repeatedly kicking it in a car wash parking lot. Workers found the kitten the next morning. They took it to a nearby vet. When police tracked down Calfee, he said he was drunk and didn't remember it. Calfee faces felony charges of animal cruelty as well as drug charges. And as for the kitten, it's being placed with a family.
New details out of the Phoenix area, a no-confidence vote for Mesa Police Chief Batista. He used to work for Tucson Police, that vote coming from 95% of the members of the Mesa Police Association. They want him to resign. This after a complaint that in August of 2018, Chief Batista stayed by the car and left his partner without backup as the officer chased a suspect on foot. The chief has not said this evening whether or not he will leave the position. Batista started his law enforcement career at the Tucson Police Department, where he was the assistant chief before moving to Mesa. If Batista does not resign, the association is asking the Mesa City Council to fire him.
Local libraries are expanding a new program this summer. Why students will be doing more than reading.
Plus, we told you how promoters have silenced the Oro Valley Music Festival. Now we'll tell you how the city is responding to the cancellation.
And we'll talk about that heat that I teased just a little bit ago, and along with that 3-degree guarantee forecast coming up next.
Good evening to you. With kids out of school for the summer, public libraries are filling up.
But not everyone is going there just to read. The free summer meals program sponsored by TUSD has expanded to include 5 libraries across Tucson. Food is prepared at cafeterias in nearby high schools, then delivered to the locations the same day. For the district and community, serving lunch at libraries was a no-brainer.
What better place? You know, the kids are here. You know, we can be here, and so it was just a great union.
Having the kids come here to eat also gives us the opportunity to expose them to all the amazing literacy work we do and all the other amazing engagement with the community.
The organizers tell us they are always looking for more parents to sign up for their kids. For more information on how, you can visit our website and check out the story. That's KOLD.com.
The town of Oro Valley is reacting this afternoon to news that a popular music festival won't be heading back to southern Arizona in 2019. Organizers of the Oro Valley Music Festival announced yesterday that they're taking time to regroup and take a fresh look at the event. It's unclear if or when the festival will come back. We're just getting a statement from Oro Valley. It says in part, quote, "Event organizers often have to make difficult decisions about when and where to hold events. We understand the festival organizers' decision to not return to Oro Valley in 2019, but we look forward to future conversations."
Happening now, the Midwest is bracing for another week of historic flooding. Rivers in more than 60 locations across the Midwest reaching major flooding levels. Some areas along the Mississippi River nearly surpassing historic levels from 1993. That was a horrible year for flooding. Just north of St. Louis, almost breaking the record as well, in some areas reaching the second highest levels ever recorded. As the flooding is set to get even worse in the Midwest, a possible tropical depression could be forming in the Gulf of Mexico, forcing residents in Texas to prepare for even more heavy rain. And in Scottsdale, a bizarre sight after a big gust of wind tears through a town, a trampoline. It tore down, the trampoline blowing out of a backyard and right onto a power line.
Oh.
Yeah, we're told fire officials managed to get it down in one piece and return it to its owner, but that could have been pretty darn dangerous, hitting that power line like that.
Especially with the metal involved, and so true.
Well, Chief Meteorologist Lisa Villegas is joining us now with more on our weather and, of course, what's happening across the country.
Triple digits are coming our way a little later than usual, but we're not complaining. How could we when what you said, it's really been rough elsewhere.
Is that wrong then? I kind of want to complain. Triple digits, 101 expected for the high on Sunday. The record that day, 109. So yes, we're not there, but we're definitely heating up. That's the first time we're going to see those triple digits in the forecast, and they continue to climb. So by Tuesday, 103. By Wednesday of next week, that temperature rises to 105 degrees. That is going to be hot, and that is going to be near that record-breaking temperature set back in 1995 at 109. So not, again, there, but very, very hot. That will be the warmest temperature we've seen so far this year. Here's what's taking place. We have this upper level low out just to the east of us. For us, we're pretty quiet. Lots of sunshine in the forecast. Expanding out, we do have this little dip in the jet stream. That remains north of our area, and that is what's going to keep us on the warm side, especially with this guy. High pressure continues to build in the forecast. That jet stream lifts all the way up into parts of Canada, so that high pressure has some time to hang around, and that will keep us dry here for at least the next 2 weeks, and the temperatures will remain well above average, at least here in the next couple of days. Tomorrow, the forecast is 98 degrees. That's your 3-degree guarantee forecast, and just to make you feel a little bit better, if you're not really ready for the heat, you could be all the way in areas like Saudi Arabia, 107 expected for the high tomorrow, or if you're thinking, well, I like it a little cooler, but probably not this cold. A high temperature in parts of Antarctica, negative 47 degrees. Yikes. So 98, not looking too shabby, right? Especially because that's our average temperature this time of year. However, that bounces up to 99 tomorrow. So again, technically, we're still below average. 96 degrees, of course, is that high temperature today. This is a shot outside of Morena, looking towards the east, nothing but sunshine. Happy National Running Day, by the way. If you're planning on getting a nice little jog or a run in later on this evening, here is a breakdown of your forecast. Clear skies, wind speeds sustain around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wait until the sun sets. That will be your best bet, especially once those temperatures really start to cool off a little bit. Lower 80s don't really hit the forecast until around 10 o'clock this evening. Your best bet really tomorrow morning. So as you take a look at the satellite and radar view, showing mainly clear skies, partly cloudy skies, especially out towards the east. We do have some storms building out towards the east of our area, and that is due to that low pressure system. But for us, we're quiet. Taking a look at that 7-day forecast, overnight lows will fluctuate between the 70s and the 60s, afternoon highs in the 90s, and then the triple digits hit Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Wednesday, this is going to be brutal. 105 expected for that high in the record, 109. So it's been quite a while since we've seen those triple digits.
All right.
Thanks for preparing us.
I got you.
Former U of A men's basketball assistant coach Book Richardson may have gotten an indication today of what awaits him at his sentencing Thursday. Our David Kelly tells you next what a New York judge laid down to one of the other guilty coaches.
This is KOLD News 13 Sports.
And I'm David Kelly, recapping what we told you at the top of this newscast. Sentences coming in on the NCAA bribery scandal. Former USC assistant coach Tony Bland not going to jail. He pled guilty to accepting $4,000 in bribes and received a sentence of probation today. Arizona's Book Richardson will stand in front of a judge in New York Thursday morning. Book pled guilty to receiving $20,000 in bribes. He is likely to receive a sentence anywhere from probation to up to 2 years in federal prison. And then there was track. That's all that's left of this 2018-19 athletic year for the Arizona Wildcats. Fred Harvey has had a ton of female stars in the women's 400 hurdles event. Olympians Georgianne Moline and Sage Watson named two. Now he's got a guy. Freshman James Smith did it again today. He set another PR, which means he also reset his U of A freshman and school records in the 400 hurdles. You can see him there in lane 2. He finished 3rd in his heat, 6th overall to qualify for Friday night's final. Meanwhile, Carlos Villarreal was considered a possible All-American in the 1,500 meters, which means he would have to finish top 8. Well, the Rio Rico product finished a disappointing 20th in his heat and failed to make the final. The Diamondbacks avoided getting swept by the Dodgers with a 3-2 walk-off win. But in the last month, get this, Arizona has gone from being 1 game back of LA in the National League West to 12 games behind. Cue up the fire sale. And that is sports for now. We're back to wrap it up after this final timeout.
You know, teachers do some pretty creative things to motivate their students. One Wisconsin elementary principal kissed a pig in an assembly yesterday. I gotta say, though, that's a cute pig. She promised the students she would do it if the school's parent-teacher organization raised more than $15,000 this year. They beat the goal, and now the money will go to things like field trips, supplies, books. Maybe they can even have a class pig.
Yeah, they got one now. But you're right, it is a cute little pig.
Isn't it cute? Or she? I'm not sure if it was a boy or girl.
I don't know.
Little piggies.
Take that little piggy home. So cute.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you back here tonight for KOLD News 13 Live at 10. Have a wonderful evening.
Find great deals for food, dining, and things to do around town with the AZ Weekend Rewards app. Download today.